Well, hello and welcome to another Memo Chat. I'm Thomas Karakolis, and
Dr. Thomas Karakolis.
with me as always is Dr. Blake Martin. How's it going, Blake?
It's good, Thomas. How are you
Good.
today?
Pretty good. Today, I think we should probably talk about physical activity because we don't really like the term exercise. Let's say physical activity and weight loss, or let's just
Wow.
say weight in general.
Yeah.
And I think you've done what I've just learned actually before we started is you've done a lot more work in this area than I have. I've tried to read as much as I can in this area. It's really
Yeah.
interesting to me. But um, your initial premise on the idea of can I do enough physical activity to reduce my weight? Is that possible?
Right. So just to be clear, my research was just on caloric consumption, like how much we eat in terms of calories versus how much we do activity. And
Yeah, let's get into that later though.
okay,
Hang on, no,
so I
don't.
just don't want to say that
Okay,
I'm no expert on weight loss.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
fair. Sorry, did not mean to oversell your expertise. You're an expert in a lot of things, though, Blake.
Yes. Go on. You were saying.
Okay, so this is the idea, and I know this has come up quite a bit, and there's a lot of YouTube videos on this, and people have whole websites, and they make careers out of this idea of you can't out exercise a bad diet is an expression, or
Right.
another expression you hear is abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. Um,
Wow.
and so I think there's some truth to that, but I think there's more to that picture and some more context than those kind of glib remarks actually make. So not that I dislike them at all. I think
Right.
they're actually both kind of clever. But um, what are your thoughts on? Hey, I don't want to change my diet. I just want to increase my activity levels to lose a few pounds.
Right. So in this study that I did, people kept activity logs, and they kept logs of what they ate. And well, I didn't collect the data; I just analyzed it. And when we looked at what they said they ate versus what they actually really ate, they said that they didn't eat very much, and they said that they were active all the time. And yet we also had activity trackers on them, and so we could see how much they really moved versus what they thought their movement was like. And so their estimates of how much they ate was much lower than what they actually ate, and their estimate of how much activity they did was actually much higher than what they did. So there's this kind of we like to think that we're more virtuous than we actually are. Oh, I'm exercising all the time, and I don't eat very much. When I eat, I just eat only the healthiest foods. But none of that is true when you actually look at that. And I know that you've looked at some literature as well that says the same thing. So I think that's kind of a good starting place, is to say that no matter what we think we're eating, and no matter how much activity we think we're doing, it's probably not accurate, and we're probably estimating in favor of our virtue.
Yeah. So do you? Okay, and I guess my question is, when you get down to it, what's the real problem? Is it that our recollection or our perception of what we're eating is wrong? Like, are we eating a third slice of pizza, but we think we only ate two slices of pizza, for example, or are we having like eight Oreos when we only thought we had like two or three? Or I love Oreos, and God, if I don't eat a whole row of Oreos, there's like I'm
Once you
impressed with
start the
myself.
row, you can't.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
finish.
I'm
You got
like,
to
if I
finish.
can stop halfway through the row, or even leave like two or three, I'm like, geez, you did a good job, man.
Yeah,
You did a good job
yeah.
not finishing that. Anyway, so my question is a legitimate question though. Is is it that we're not understanding the amount of food that we eat, or are we not understanding the calories in the food that we eat? Like, are we doing the math bad?
I think there's a little bit of it's both and.
Okay.
I think there's bad and caloric. Are what we eat, the amount of calories in it. I think there's that. And if for one thing, the estimates like that are put out by the Department of Agriculture, um, from the United States, Federal Department of Agriculture. Those estimates are often for one product, like a grilled chicken breast, but you eat your own chicken breast slathered with butter and a bunch of olives and stuff like that, and you say, okay, so uh, that's a really weird recipe, but uh,
That's what I was going. Yeah, I don't know if you saw my face, but I was like,
but but the point is that we underestimate the caloric cost of sauces and all kinds of things like that. So
yeah,
we miss all the added on things, the accompaniments and the condiments and stuff like that. So that's a thing that we also miss. But we just want to imagine that we're more virtuous than we actually are. We'll say I had a small serving when we really had a large serving. We will say that
okay,
that we had three potatoes when we really had four small ones. I had four small potatoes, but maybe it's how many grams of potatoes, and what did you have on them. So all of that is true, and so there's all this misestimation, and the same thing for in terms um, of the amount of exercise we do. And there's cognitive aspects to effort estimation where you think that you worked harder if you were tireder. So if I started off my workout and I was tired, I'll estimate that I burned more calories.
yeah,
Um,
okay. So you took my next question right there. Was going to be, is it the same
yeah.
for exercise? So the answer I heard for the food side of it, or like the calorie intake side of it, was that it's a lot of the qualitative stuff that we miss
Yes.
in terms of like we think a large portion that we had is actually a small
Yes.
portion, and so that's a challenge. And then there are also just hidden calories that we're not catching, like in sauces and stuff
Yes.
like that,
Yes.
rather than us like essentially lying to ourselves about how much food we actually ate. So it's not like, hey, I only think I had, like, I know I had three slices of pizza. I'm not trying to tell myself I had two.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense actually, and I'm buying what you're selling on that one. But on the exercise side, then, so how, like, why is it that we're misrepresenting the number of calories that we're using up essentially or consuming? I'm not sure what the correct word is on that side of the equation, but
Yeah.
you mentioned
Caloric
that,
expenditure.
yeah, caloric is perfect. Caloric expenditure. You started off by saying that one of the reasons could be this perceived effort, and a lot of it has to do with our mental state to start off.
Right.
So, can you continue and expand on that and say, like, are there other reasons or why we're misestimating our caloric expenditure?
Sure. So there's a few things. I, I I think we're just terrible at estimating what we do in general. I think we estimate how long. It depends on how unpleasant it is. Unpleasant tasks are always construed as taking longer or being longer. So, or we'll look on our watch and we'll see that we'll round up to the next five just for the sake of efficiency. And
Mm-hmm.
our we'll use our fitness trackers, and our fitness trackers, that's a whole other topic that I would love to talk about at length.
Yeah, I want to get into that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
but not today. But we'll rely on our fitness trackers, and our fitness trackers are terrible. So we'll also believe them, and they'll say things like, you walked for half an hour and burned 700 calories. Nicely done. And it's like, no, that's not. I don't know if you were moving your wrist a lot, but so there's all kinds of reasons why we do this, but it amounts to a bias to thinking that we are more virtuous than we actually are. I think that's really at the heart of it, is we want to think that we're really good. But I want to get at a more important idea. And
Okay.
there's a couple things here. One is, um, why is activity important? And activity is not important because it makes us lose weight. Activity is important because activity is important, period.
Hmm.
Full stop, end of sentence. And if you are, um, I don't want to make a whole lot of comments about the right weight for someone because I'm as time goes on and I've watched athletes of lots of different weights and body shapes be really effective and healthy, I'm becoming more reluctant to say you have to be this shape in order to be considered healthy or the right body weight. And the science is kind of it's kind of funny because there's clear places where weight um, was previously attributed to a certain health outcome, but now they're looking at it and they're saying no, it was actually diet was bigger. Like if you start separating out how the people ate or levels of activity, those become really important as well. So there's all these other factors that are fitting into it that surround activity that I think we need to say are really important.
Yeah, I want to play on that a little bit because you're right. A lot of the stuff that comes out in terms of like health and longevity and lifespan, um, they weight's obviously not a good one at all. And I know there's the idea that BMI kind of helps, I guess, clean up some of the noise or normalize a weight measure because it incorporates your stature, your height as well.
But
But I think
Thomas, I'm on the edge of an unhealthy BMI.
like unhealthy low, I'm guessing.
No, unhealthy high. My
Yeah, so
my
I'm the same
mass
thing.
my mass to
Yeah.
height,
Mhm.
I am there. I'm approaching what's considered obese in BMI.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm approaching. I think and there's no way you're approaching obese. I think you're approaching overweight, Blake, because I think I'm in the same boat where I'm usually in either approaching overweight or I'm in that overweight
But
category technically.
but I also know that my body fat percentage from doing like a submersion, like the gold standard submersion one, where the and just I know that it's like half of what my BMI thinks my body fat is.
Yeah, so you
Um,
might actually be big boned, as people
what?
used to like to say.
Yeah, or muscle dense or
Yeah.
whatever it is. You know that.
Yeah, and so that kind of gets me to the point I was trying to make, and
Sorry.
I'm trying to agree with you here because I like BMI is another really flawed measure, and
Yeah.
obviously like these measures they have their place, so we're
Yeah.
not trying to make any blanket statement saying that your weight doesn't matter or your BMI doesn't matter. They all matter in a certain context,
Yes.
but I think your point about just doing exercise because exercise is good that's the key point. And the only thing I would add to that is that you do exercise and you do physical activity to either keep your body strong or make your body
Yeah.
stronger.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the bigger point to make is that like and whatever reason you do physical activity, I'm never going to criticize because I think doing physical activity is good. So if your goal is to do physical activity to lose weight or to change your BMI or to change your physical appearance, I actually think that's great. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's just for me, I can't go back and unlearn the fact that that's not how I'm going to be able to do those things for
No.
myself. And most people aren't going to be able to change their weight or their body just with physical activity,
Yes.
especially like endurance training, for example.
Yeah.
People that go for a run to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, realistically, I think there's more evidence to show strength training
Yes.
will ultimately help you
Absolutely.
burn more calories.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally agree with your point. You should do exercise because exercise is good, not necessarily to lose weight.
And just kind of building on what you said, Thomas, about doing activity to make your keep your body strong or get your body strong. Um, it's also your mind as well. And there's a lot
Hmm.
of sense of well-being that comes from, as we discussed last week,
Last week,
um,
exactly.
where there's a sense of well-being that comes from activity. And there's just all kinds of good things that are beneficial that arise from activity. But you have to keep your eye kind of on the prize. And the prize, I don't think, is always weight loss. The prize is often um, making sure that you're moving well and moving in a healthy way and taking care of yourself.
Movement hygiene. Love
Movement
it.
hygiene. Movement
Gotta
hygiene.
keep saying it.
I like it.
Um,
The more I say it, the more it grows on me. Yeah.
I think we've hit all the major points that I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
hit
think
at
so
least
too.
today.
What else would I want to say? I would want to say that um, also self acceptance, learning to love your body in all of its states, even as we're changing. Sometimes we're changing, we're moving in a direction that we want to move, and self acceptance is really important. And it's actually part of a healthy attitude towards yourself. And yeah, sure, like you said, Thomas, that idea that you can change your body and exercise and activity are ways that you can do it, but
Mhm.
really it's got to start in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Blake. We'll
I
talking.
would say too, just eat a tablespoon less.
Yeah, that's a pretty good advice.
Just
Yeah, just one bite less.
yep, that's it. That's it. One Oreo
Perfect.
less.
Oh, it's hard. It's so hard, man. I
One row less.
I think I shared a little bit too much about myself
Yeah.
during this one.
Awesome. Well, that was
All
good.
right. Yeah, I'll talk to you again next
Okay.
week, Blake.
Take care. Have a great
Bye.
afternoon.
You too.
All right. I have to run down and do something with my